2024 presidential election, Russia has taken advantage of the situation to launch covert tactical maneuvers against the United States. Following the sighting of a Vishnu-class ship off the U.S. coast, reports have emerged of a Russian spy plane flying dangerously close to a U.S. aircraft carrier. How will the U.S. respond to these bold provocations? And how well equipped are American vessels to defend against such aerial threats? Join us as we delve into the events surrounding Russia's mysterious $300 million spy plane and its bold flight over a U.S. aircraft carrier. It's not a rare occurrence to find a Russian spy plane around the United States base. Recently, a senior defense official revealed that a Russian surveillance plane had flown over a U.S. base in Syria for an extended period on a Friday morning, which they believed was an intelligence-gathering mission. The official reported that the Antonov An-30 plane repeatedly flew back and forth over the Otomsk garrison and the surrounding area. The official also mentioned that Russian activities continued to be very concerning to them. No U.S. aircraft were able to intercept the Russian surveillance plane in time because of where they were positioned at that moment. The official explained that the U.S. has daily flight schedules based on how many fighters are available, the tankers needed to refuel them, and the activity in Syria and Iraq. These schedules are often changed to avoid being predictable, so the Russians wouldn't have known in advance that there was a gap in U.S. air coverage. While it's common for the U.S. and Russia to gather intelligence on each other, this incident was notable because it happened directly over a U.S. base. The official mentioned that there were strong protests over the communication line established with Russia in Syria, but Russia ignored them. The official added that it's impossible to cover all areas at once, so flight patterns are intentionally varied daily to avoid predictability. This was one of those times when there was a small gap in coverage over Otomsk garrison, and there wasn't enough time to respond and intercept. They also believed that Russia wasn't aware that U.S. aircraft couldn't respond in time, saying it was just a lucky coincidence for Russia. Recently, there have been several incidents that have caught the attention of U.S. forces in Syria. The official noted that U.S. and Russian aircraft are supposed to stay about 3 nautical miles apart, but the Russian plane was much closer. The official described this as unprofessional because it broke the agreed-upon rules for aviation, although it wasn't as reckless as some past encounters. Imagine a scenario where a Russian spy plane flies above one of the most powerful vessels of the United States Navy. How exactly would this event play out? Do these vessels have what it takes to eliminate aerial threats? To understand this encounter, it's important to understand the potency of the things involved. The U.S. aircraft carrier is a strong symbol of American military power. These massive ships are built to show force, keep peace, and quickly handle threats around the world. They have thousands of crew members and an air wing that can hit targets far away. These carriers are incredible, machines with advanced radar, strong weapons, and the ability to launch and recover different aircraft, from fighter jets to drones. The USS Gerald R. Ford class is the largest and most advanced aircraft carrier in the world. The lead ship, USS Gerald R. Ford, was commissioned in May 2017 and has set new standards in naval warfare. It is 337 meters long, 18 meters wide, and has a total displacement of 100,000 tons. The flight deck is 78 meters wide and includes an electromagnetic aircraft launch system and advanced arresting gear. On the other hand, the Russian spy plane, also known as an intelligence-gathering aircraft, is just as important. These planes are loaded with advanced surveillance equipment that can intercept communications, track movements, and collect valuable data. They can fly at high altitudes and are filled with sensors, cameras, and other tools for gathering information. The exact model of the plane may differ, but common types include the Ilyushin Il-20M or the Tupolev Tu-214R, both made for electronic surveillance and reconnaissance. The advanced technology on these planes helps them gather a lot of information, from radar signals to communication traffic, giving important insights into enemy operations. The Ilyushin Il-20M is a Russian surveillance aircraft used for electronic and communication intelligence. Originally developed from the Tu-18, it first flew in 1968 and was mainly controlled by the fleet or district headquarters. Equipped with advanced radar, cameras, and antennas, the Tu-20M gathers and transmits intelligence data in real time. While the Tupolev Tu-2, also known as Ant-58 and 103, was a Soviet twin-engine bomber used in World War II. Designed for high-speed bombing, it could carry a large bomb load and match the speed of a single-seat fighter. Developed to rival the German Junkers Ju-88, the Tu-2 was produced in various versions, including torpedo, interceptor, and reconnaissance models. It played a crucial role in the Red Army's final offensives. Despite the arrest of its designer, Andrei Tupolev, the aircraft was developed and mass-produced, with a total of 2,460 units built by 1952. Over the years, these planes have carried out many reconnaissance missions, including near Turkish and Estonian airspace, which led to several NATO jets intercepting them. The aircraft has been updated, with the Il-20PP being a recent version that can jam modern systems. In 2018, a Syrian missile accidentally shot down an Il-20M. Why would a Russian spy plane fly close to a U.S. aircraft carrier? What's at stake, and what does each side have to gain or lose? The answer lies in the ongoing game of intelligence and counterintelligence between the two nations. Both are always trying to learn about the other's capabilities and intentions. For Russia, flying near a U.S. carrier can provide valuable information about its movements, operations, and the signals it emits. For the U.S., tracking a spy plane can uncover the techniques and technology used by Russian intelligence, giving insights into their focus and strategies. It starts with a blip on the radar. The radar operator on the aircraft carrier notices an unknown aircraft entering their outer perimeter. This area is carefully watched and stretches hundreds of miles from the carrier to spot any threats early. The operator sees the aircraft on the screen, but they don't know what it is yet. Following their training, the operator follows a set protocol to assess and respond to the possible threat. When an unidentified aircraft is detected, the operator first tries to identify it by checking its transponder code. If there isn't one, it's a warning sign. The operator quickly informs the chain of command. The captain is notified and quick decisions are made. Jets are launched and the defense systems are put on high alert. The carrier's escorts, like destroyers and cruisers, take their positions, ready to respond to any threat. The tension builds as the crew gets ready for a possible confrontation. The radar room is buzzing with activity. Technicians and analysts work together to track the aircraft and gather as much information as they can. They use advanced tools to analyze its flight path, speed, and altitude to figure out what it might be doing. Meanwhile, the captain talks with his senior officers, considering the options and making important decisions on how to respond. As the U.S. jets take off, the Russian spy plane keeps coming, either unaware or not caring about what's happening below. This is where the real game of strategy begins. The fighter pilots are briefed. Their job is to identify, shadow, and, if needed, engage the intruding aircraft. They know their actions are being watched not just by their own command, but also by the Russian pilots and intelligence officers on the spy plane. Once the jets were airborne, they moved to intercept the incoming aircraft. Their mission, as reported, was to identify, shadow, and, if necessary, engage. Upon approach, they visually confirmed the identity of the aircraft as a Russian spy plane. The fighter pilot's primary task was to get close enough to visually identify the aircraft and make it clear to the Russians that they had been spotted. It was described as a back-and-forth game where the Russian plane was aware it was being watched, while the U.S. jets ensured the Russians knew they were being monitored. The intent was to send a clear message. The Russian plane was reportedly equipped with advanced technology to collect information on the carrier's movements, communication signals, and other operational details. The U.S. jets, by flying close, were sending a message that they were ready to act if necessary. The pilots were said to have maintained a close formation with the spy plane, using their communication systems to relay real-time updates back to the carrier, helping the crew understand the spy plane's potential intentions. It was noted that such encounters were more common than generally believed, being part of a broader strategy known as a show of force. Both the U.S. and Russia reportedly had protocols for handling these situations, aimed at gathering intelligence and demonstrating strength without escalating tensions. The rules of engagement were clear. The U.S. jets would shadow the spy plane, keeping it at a distance where it couldn't gather too much information, but close enough to prevent it from posing an immediate threat. These encounters were described as a careful balance between showing military power and avoiding open conflict. The rules of engagement are designed to prevent situations from turning into serious conflicts. but the risks are always significant. Both sides understand the importance of staying in control and avoiding accidents or misunderstandings. U.S. Navy pilots are highly trained for these scenarios, making sure they can react quickly and effectively if the spy plane makes any unexpected moves. These encounters are not just one-off events, they are part of a bigger geopolitical strategy. They allow nations to gather intelligence, test each other's responses, and send political messages. When a Russian spy plane flies near a U.S. aircraft carrier, it's about gathering information and making a statement. Russia shows its presence, and the U.S. shows it's ready to defend its assets. Each encounter tests the strength, skills, and readiness of both sides, with each trying to gain an advantage. The data the Russian spy plane collects helps them understand U.S. military operations better, while the U.S. learns about Russian surveillance methods. This ongoing process of gathering and analyzing information helps both countries improve their strategies for future encounters. Inside the aircraft carrier during such an encounter, the crew works together like a well-oiled machine. Everyone, from the radar operators to the flight deck crew, knows their role and is trained to perform under pressure. The flight deck is buzzing with activity as jets are prepared for takeoff, and pilots get ready for possible combat missions. Below deck, intelligence officers analyze data, and communication teams keep lines of command secure and efficient. The carrier functions like a self-sustaining city at sea, able to operate for long periods without outside support. The coordination needed to launch and recover jets, manage radar and surveillance, and maintain communication with other ships in the group is enormous. And every crew member plays a crucial role in the carrier's successful operation. As the U.S. jets continue to follow the Russian spy plane, a series of strategic moves takes place. The goal is to drive the plane away without causing a direct conflict. The presence of U.S. jets acts as a warning. The Russian plane knows it's being watched, and any aggressive move would quickly be met with a response. Usually this is enough to make them turn back, and eventually the Russian plane retreats, its mission incomplete. The U.S. jets return to the carrier, and the immediate threat is over. But the crew stays alert for any further incidents. The successful deterrence of the spy plane shows the training, readiness, and strategic planning of the U.S. Navy. Every crew member has contributed to the safety and security of the carrier and its mission. Each encounter is a learning experience. These high-stakes cat-and-mouse games remind us of the delicate balance of power in the modern world. They showcase the professionalism and preparedness of the U.S. Navy and highlight the constant vigilance needed to maintain security in international waters. These encounters test not only technology and tactics, but also human skill and judgment. The radar operators, pilots, and intelligence officers involved are highly trained professionals, but they are also individuals with their own stories and motivations. For example, the radar operator who first spotted the spy plane might be a young sailor just out of training, facing their first real-world challenge. Their ability to stay calm and follow procedures is crucial. Or consider the lead pilot of the intercept mission, a seasoned aviator with countless hours of flight time who must make quick decisions that could have far-reaching effects. These individuals are supported by a vast and complex infrastructure. The maintenance crews who keep the jets ready to launch at a moment's notice, the logisticians who manage the supplies that keep the carrier operational, and the medical staff who are prepared for any emergencies. Each of these roles is essential to the carrier's successful operation and the safety of its crew. After the encounter, the debriefing process begins. Pilots and radar operators review their actions, discussing what went well and what could be improved. This continuous learning ensures the crew is always ready for the next challenge. The data collected during the encounter is carefully analyzed. Intelligence officers search for patterns to understand the broader goals of the Russian mission. This information is added to larger intelligence networks, where it combines with data from other sources to create a complete picture of Russian activities and intentions. At the same time, diplomatic channels are used. The encounter is reported to higher command and political leaders, who use this information to guide their decisions and plans. Sometimes, diplomatic complaints are made, and discussions are held to avoid similar incidents in the future. Even though the immediate threat is over, the broader situation is still relevant. The encounter highlights the ongoing tensions between major powers and the need to stay ready and alert. It shows the importance of continued investment in training, technology, and international cooperation to prevent these situations from escalating into conflicts. So what happens when a Russian spy plane flies near a US aircraft carrier? A mix of strategy, technology, and human skill comes into play. It's a high-stakes situation where every action is carefully considered with global implications. These encounters remind us of the delicate balance of power and the need for constant vigilance to maintain it. As technology advances and geopolitical tensions change, the role of these naval forces remains crucial. To stay ahead in the Pacific and keep its ships operational, the Navy is heavily investing in a technology that has been elusive for decades: lasers. The potential advantages are huge. Lasers, powered by large energy sources like the nuclear reactors on Vishnu-class carriers, can fire at the speed of light, making them capable of countering hypersonic weapons. They can also quickly reload to defend against swarms of drones and don't need ammunition, giving ships nearly unlimited firing capability. That's the Navy's goal, at least. Recently, defense contractors have tested lower-powered lasers, with one even shooting down a drone earlier this year. However, a fully reliable laser powerful enough to stop hypersonic missiles is still years away. Despite this, the Pentagon is confident in the technology, so much so that it canceled research into two other promising weapons: railguns and special gun-launched guided projectiles, which were also aimed at defending the fleet against modern threats. With these projects on hold, the question now is whether the Navy can develop this laser technology quickly enough to counter threats before it's too late. The weapon the U.S. is working on will be a high-power microwave weapon, or HPM weapon. It uses bursts of microwave energy to mess with or destroy the electronics in enemy systems. This technology is expected to be installed on ships by 2026, and it will use electromagnetic energy to damage or disrupt enemy electronics. It's being developed because it's affordable, quick to use, and covers a large area. This system will be the Navy's first high-powered microwave weapon, a type of directed energy weapon that the Army, Navy, and Air Force are developing to fight low-cost, unmanned aerial systems. Unlike other directed energy weapons the Navy uses, the Meteor prototype will work differently. Instead of using a focused light beam, it will use microwave energy to damage the electronics in its targets. The Navy thinks this approach will be effective against anti-ship ballistic missiles, such as those used by China's military. The HPM weapon has big advantages over other types of weapons. Unlike lasers, an HPM weapon can produce a range of effects, from minor jamming to more severe damage, depending on what's needed. Sailors can use the HPM weapon to make more controlled attacks than with traditional weapons. Some HPM systems can cover a wider area than lasers, making them better for quickly targeting multiple threats, like drone swarms. Once it's powerful enough, this new weapon could become the Navy's top choice for dealing with China's advanced missiles. The beams from an HPM move at the speed of light, making it almost impossible for China's missiles to outrun or outmaneuver them. They would be in a cloud of their own smoke before they could even identify the source of the heat. Like other directed energy weapons, an HPM weapon also offers the benefit of a deep, somewhat unlimited magazine. Unlike traditional kinetic weapons, HPM weapons do not need to be physically reloaded with ammunition. They can theoretically keep firing for as long as they're connected to a power source. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link appearing on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.